Personal growth can make you feel more alone before you feel more connected. We've been taught that if we want something bad enough, we just have to push harder. But what if your ambition is actually the thing holding you back? What if your mind is ready for the next level, but your body isn't? Today on our episode, we are exploring the hardest lessons around personal development. We're discussing why growth often leaves you feeling more alone before you find your tribe, and the painful truth of why wanting more isn't the same thing as being ready for more. So we're going to strip away the hustle culture lies to talk about the biological pace of change. This is for those that feel like they're falling behind. Well, personal growth can make you feel alone before you feel more connected. So I've got a question for you. If you feel like you could have everything you've been ever working for, the success, the influence, the responsibility, dropped in your lap right now, would it actually fulfill you, or would the weight of it crush you?
It's a multi-layered question, that one. Because the instant jump is, yeah, I'd love everything that I've ever dreamed of right now. That'd be awesome. And then tomorrow comes. And then tomorrow comes and you're like, okay, what do I do now? Like, what is my purpose at this point? And there's an argument to say, well, if my current goals, let's outline them, are to be earning 100 grand a month from social media related activities, to have 1 million subscribers on YouTube, 1 million followers on Instagram and TikTok, and then have like marriage, wife and kids, right? And own a house. If I was to be given all of that now, I would still continue to make videos because I enjoy making videos. So that's fine, but I wouldn't rely on it generating money. But the game for me isn't really how much you can make, I suppose. Like, it's nice to have these goals, but those goals aren't there out of necessity. They're there because they're nice to target, you know? Yeah. So if it was all to arrive, I think I'd probably be able to keep my head on straight and just work the same.
So when I say would the weight of it crush you, I suppose the reason I've asked that is because I'm curious when it comes to, say, general population or those that are listening that have heard that question, would the weight of it crush you because your pursuit of perfection, your pursuit of happiness, your fulfillment that you get on a day-to-day of working towards a goal would be gone? So you've come at it from, it would crush you because you would almost feel a little bit untethered in how you'd navigate life. Because in reality, if it's boom, there, done, so whoa, what do I do now?
Yeah, it's a little bit disorientating. I had a experience with this when I hit 100k. That was everything I ever dreamed of, and I went from 25k to 100k in like a week. So it was like, it sort of happened, and it's disorientating. For at least a week or two, I was like, well, what are my goals now? Like, if every month is going to be like this month, then, you know.
Did you find fulfillment in that moment? Do you think other people would find fulfillment in the moment of achieving their dreams?
I don't think so.
Or maybe not their dreams, but an achievement of a goal. Do you think other people would find that fulfillment?
It's a lot more, the feeling is a lot more fleeting than you expect. Like, the moment that you hit 100k subs, if that's been your goal for ages, is cool. It's like, yeah, I did it. And then literally the second after the camera goes off of you reacting to hitting 100k subs, you're like, cool, what now? Like, what do I do?
Why do we think that is?
Because nobody cares about the end result. Everyone cares about, like, can I achieve something? Yes, I can. Cool. Now what can I achieve? Like, it's just the next. We love the journey more than we love the actual destination. So it's like the best bit of anything is actually working towards it, which is why I've just started a new channel. It's why I started this channel. It's because I love, like, nobody thinks anyone can do it. Whatever your goal is. Now, for us, it's YouTube, and for me, it was YouTube. But for, like, if you're a sports person and you want to make it into the Arsenal Football Club, then, like, nobody thinks you can do that. So proving to others that you can and going on that journey and like, no, I'm doing the work. It's like self-motivating as you're going through it because I know that I'm.
So the fire is the day-to-day action to try and achieve this goal. And when you get your goal, sure, you're going to feel validated to an extent, but then you are, or likely could feel slightly uneasy on the ground you're walking on because maybe you've associated everything to that goal and now you've achieved it. And if you don't have another one to continue to work towards, you're going to feel maybe a little bit lost. That almost strikes me as like a harsh, cruel truth of life, that you're allowed to have a goal, and then when you get it, you might feel almost incomplete or unfulfilled.
Yeah.
Incomplete, I should say. Incomplete and unfulfilled because you've achieved it. Great, well done. What, does life stop then?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, does life just stop moving for you? You know, that feels quite cruel.
Yeah, but I think it probably goes back to hunting. It's like if the goal is to kill an animal and feed your family, you would go and kill the animal, feed the family. You wouldn't be like, right, never need to do that again. That was fun. Like, no, you've got to go out next week.
Family are fed, yeah, there we go, job done.
Yeah.
So maybe humans, we need the pursuit of something, whether that is minuscule, whether that's major. We need the pursuit of something to assign meaning. This is something I've been thinking about and listening to a lot about, is how humans define meaning or purpose in life. Is it something that we are ingrained with from birth? Is it something we're born with? Is it something that through religion you find attachment through God or meaning through God? Or is it that you find your meaning as you progress through life? Or is it rather you have no meaning? You know, it's definitely something I've been thinking about. So when you achieve something you've been working for, the success, the influence, the responsibility, having it all dropped in front of you, that could be quite a daunting thought for people.
Yeah.
Because it almost makes everything feel definitive rather than a pursuit.
But before we get into that, I want to tell you about Huel. Down in the description, there is money off if you use our link on your first Huel order. My favourite drink is the berry one. I also quite like the salted caramel. Your favourite is?
Chocolate or cookies and cream black edition.
Now, I'm not a fan of the chocolate. But anyway, down on that link, I've also linked like bundles and whatever that sort of are recommendations. So go and check them out. Let us know which one's your favourite. And yeah, then you won't have to eat meals, which is the biggest pro, probably. I hate eating. So it saves me having to do that and prepare meals. Back to the episode. I guess there's the sense of luck and lottery that comes with chasing goals. Because nobody who sets up a business or sets out to be in a top sports team knows with 100% certainty that it's going to work and they're going to get there. And humans like being teased with something. Like we get far happier by the anticipation of something than we do actually having the thing. And yeah, with the hunting idea, that all comes back to that. It's like you've got to feel more driven to actually go and get the thing than you do when you receive it.
It's the same with studies they've done for people that gamble. You know, they get more endorphins, more serotonin from the pull of the lever than they do the actual reward. It's the same with social media. You get more dopamine from that swipe than you do actually viewing that reel or that short or whatever it might be. It's crazy, isn't it?
It's a bit wild. What would you think if all of your hopes and dreams were just gifted to you?
I think I would feel this immense sense of relief in the short term, because I would feel, wow, you know, like I can relax a little. But then I would likely fall into this mindset of, well, my outside achievements don't define my internal validation. So although it might be short term, it's like you said, it would likely be a little bit fleeting. So I don't think it would crush me, but I definitely don't think I'd find long-term fulfillment in it, because the pursuit of meaning, the pursuit of purpose is, in my mind, entirely internal. And you have to feel aligned with that chase, that goal. You know, it's the same thing I've said to you about when you go traveling and you sit on a beach for 5 days. After a while, you're like, paradise is boring. I need something else. So it would be a really hard reality to come across, which, again, for me, is kind of like a little cruel joke of life. You know, if you have everything you ever wanted dropped in front of you, would you feel fulfilled? And I wonder what other people's questions and answers would be to that.
Yeah, put in the comments what you're thinking. I would say if it's all your hopes and dreams, it could also be just a full cup of internal validation that you receive.
Could be. I suppose it depends on whether we are purely talking external or internal validation. I suppose the posing of the question is a little bit more external, which shows that the growth and the personal development is external from the external validation you would receive. So I want to loop it into our first question that we got, which is personal growth can make you feel more alone before you feel more connected. So we're told growth expands your world, but the truth is the first stage of growth often feels like an isolation ward. You're too new for your old friends, but too raw for your old life. Sorry, you're too new for your old friends, but too raw for your new life. So really, it's this discrepancy of loneliness almost. So have you ever felt the loneliness of the levels where you've stopped doing the old toxic work or the old traits that have kept you safe, but the phone or the new life is still there, but you're still trying to work towards this? You're almost in this like no man's land. Have you ever experienced that?
I'm in it.
You're in it. Share us your stories.
So I've got my friendship group, of which you were a part, and it's been my friendship group since I was 17. I'm now 25, or 16. I'm now 25, and I've been working in the dark. We hang out at most once every 2 weeks.
It's bad, isn't it?
No, but it's appropriate for what I need out of a friendship group.
Interesting.
It's
Okay.
if it required once a week, I think I'd have to tap out. Like I just can't do that much. I've got too much going on. But so secretly, I was working on YouTube and growing it. 3.5 years. I've mentioned I'm making videos. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And then YouTube exploded. It's like, cool. I now am in a position where, in terms of external success or how it looks from the outside, I'm actually doing very well. And it's something I want to capitalize on to meet new people, new friends, new whatever. And I feel like I'm in this middle section of, I've still got my core group of friends that I've had all my life, but now I'm also looking to gain additional friends and additional groups, all while trying to keep the ship under control of maintaining YouTube and keep that growing and expanding out and doing more things. But it does feel very much like a horrible push on, like there's a separation, and it's trying to first of all understand why there's that feeling, and then I guess just remember like who you are fundamentally. You are not defined by the activities you do. You're defined by who you are fundamentally.
So I suppose the few things I want to jump off from the beginning is the discrepancy comes from the growth. You know, you're feeling lonely, you're feeling slightly isolated before you feel more connected, because there's an element of grieving that has to come, which we've spoken about before when it comes to personal growth. There's an element of letting go. There's an element of grieving the past life, the values that kept you safe, the disciplines that kept you safe, whether they were positive or negative. There is a growth that happens there before you flourish into this new person, whether it's life, career, personal development, spirituality, fill in the blank. There's this discrepancy there. So it's that growth. It's almost like growing pains. And I wonder how many people do relate to that similar thing that you've explained, which is life is on its trajectory and you feel like you are aligned with that purpose and that fulfillment. But to achieve it, you have to relinquish some of the old thought patterns that kept you safe. So they're living in that slight isolation ward because they're grinding and there's no one that can relate, whether it's business again or personal development. Have you ever heard of the lonely chapter, coined by Chris Williamson?
Yeah.
So the necessary phase of personal growth where you outgrow the old friends but haven't formed new aligned connections, leading to loneliness and the temptation to revert. But the crucial step is towards self-evolution. So as he's coined here, so it's outgrowing old circles. But it's that lack of new connections with the new people that share your current trajectory. And then it comes with that temptation to regress. There's the uncertainty, the future feels vague. Yeah, is that much of what you feel like you're experiencing, or what other people would experience in a similar circumstance in their life?
Yeah, I think so. It's like the temptation for me to... Well, the temptation was, and this could be that I have regressed, because that's what the numbers are saying. But it's like, so when things are going really well on YouTube, it feels like, the step to move away now and go more towards like trying to make the new friends, and because you're in a position of strength at that point. It seems like it's going to be a really fluid journey from, your initial group of friends. You just move and you find the new group of friends, but then as soon as I was very aware throughout growing that I didn't want to just like ditch my friendship group, like, because I wouldn't be friends with them if I didn't like the people, and that's a factor. It's like, I think the one thing that people miss out about the lonely chapter potentially is, maybe they don't, but the difficulty of it psychologically, with if you actually like your friendship group and you feel like they're of benefit, then you don't need to get rid of them. I think it's mainly saying, if you only had your group of friends out of, you had no friends, or you had those group of friends, you would choose that group of friends.
I suppose it's the shifting of priorities, isn't it? So what might have originally bonded you to people, whether that's partying, alcohol, drugs, self-deprecating thoughts, actions, however you'd like to associate. If your current group of friends or people you assign yourself to do not want to change or want to stay stuck in that thought patterns, you've got to be brave to step away from that. And that can be true in personal development, that can be true in business. It's being brave enough to step out of that known, that comfort zone, the people that are living in those self-deprecating thought patterns and actions, shifting your priorities towards the positive. So moving away from partying and more towards personal development, whether that's reading, meditating, growing a business, going to the gym, yoga, painting, again, fill in the blank. But it's creating that chasm, that void between the old priorities and the new priorities. It's that shifting there. So again, like you said, if your current group of friends want to grow and also align with that new mindset, is you can very much grow with people, and you don't have to experience that sort of lonely chapter alone. I still think there would be an argument to be said there would still be somewhat of a lonely chapter, because you are outgrowing the familiar. Although you've got that maybe support network that are growing with you, who you are as a person is going to be shifting, changing, and growing. You're going to be learning more. You're going to be receiving new information, which is going to question and allow you to outgrow that familiar, and you're going to step into the unknown, which is going to feel inherently lonely anyway.
On the unfamiliar thing, it's interesting because that instantly made me think of whenever you're doing something that your immediate environment isn't, for example, making YouTube videos versus your friends not making YouTube videos consistently or whatever, you've already taken a step out into the unfamiliar and the area of life that is not understood by people who don't do it. So there's a certain sense of familiarity you have with inconsistent and uncertain results, because everything you do in the self-employed world is never a guarantee. It's always like, I think this is a good idea, let's just see what happens. That's literally the thought process. Like, fundamentally, you can have 80% of the information at the best time, and it's still, you have that 20% deficit where you're like, So when you're out in this lonely chapter, it's like you've almost been there is an element of you've been war trained for it by spending so long in the unfamiliar. I think if we were to tie this back to the previous question of if you were to get everything on your lap tomorrow, you might find yourself in the lonely chapter with no mental preparation for that. Whereas if you've if you've been working towards something for years and then suddenly everything comes on your lap, then at least you've got that level of, you know what the uncertainty is. I've said for a long time, and I know it doesn't quite work, but the best sign to tell if somebody's going to make it self-employed is if they quit their job. And it's not good advice. It's terrible advice. But that's sort of why I think it works. Because if you've got the balls to quit your job and you're stepping out into the uncertain, that is literally every decision you have to make while self-employed. You are stepping out into the uncertain.
Because the only person you can trust in that uncertainty is yourself.
Yeah.
So outgrowing the familiar, stepping into the uncertain is going to sort of isolate you from people that would not understand.
Yeah.
So again, that's how that plays into personal development, is if you are now going to be stepping into a realm of self-development which is going to be inherently unstable, inconsistent, unknown, there's no linear progression when it comes to growth and personal development. There's no clear roadmap. There's no certainty of whether someone's going to completely be able to connect with you at any given time. It's going to feel somewhat scary and daunting, but if you have the courage to step into that world, it likely shows, as you're suggesting, you've got the strength to go through it.
Yeah.
Whereas if someone doesn't ever feel the safety or the inspiration to step into it, they likely may not have the strength to go through it.
Yeah.
And that might be wrong. Please surprise us. We're not saying people shouldn't just then not step into the self-development because they've never tried, but be brave, support yourself and back yourself that you are able to go through these different transitional stages. But I suppose the initial instinct is to just go back to old habits. That's where people probably give up quite quickly, is this is new, this is scary, let me just go back to old habits because that's where I feel safe.
Yeah.
So is the safe keeping someone safe, or is it stopping them from growing?
We're stopping them from growing.
Agreed.
1,000%.
Yeah. So I heard this mindset.
You must always be unsafe.
I don't know about that. But I heard this mindset from Dr. K, and I will butcher it. I completely apologize. But he was saying life is decisions. There's no right decisions, there's no wrong decisions. And he went on to say, arguably, the only right decision is the one that is outlined by society standards. And by society standards, he defined the society you are living in. But he said life is just decisions. To step away and opt out of the decision-making process is where people make the mistake. He said there's no necessarily right or wrong decision. Again, it's defined by society standards, but you need to have your own internal compass to understand what is right and wrong for you, aside from society standards. But the worst thing you can do is step away from making decisions, because then it means you are, like you've said in the past, life is going to happen to you rather than you are going to happen to life.
Yeah.
You're not going to have the main character energy. You're just going to allow yourself to be the side character in life's main quest.
Yeah. And ultimately end up making other people more money.
Well, yeah, you always loop everything back to, self-employed and work and everything, which is true. If you're not taking the decision to step into self-employment and make money for yourself, you're always going to be making money for someone else.
But still, with self-development, it's like you're just going to make other people happy and to the detriment of your own happiness. If you're not happening to life, like you're not making any happiness of your own, you're just trying to help fulfill other people's goals and other people's wants and needs.
Yeah. So if we're stepping away from what's known, if you spent your life being validated by people that don't grow or don't do the self-development, which is where you've been in the past, is the aloneness, the isolation, just the sound of your own voice for the first time? Because if you've been externally validated for so long, you're not going to have that internal compass to self-validate. So is that aloneness, that loneliness, that isolation, the sound of your own voice for the first time? It's probably going to be learning to speak.
Yeah, that's a really nice way of putting it. It's the first time you've had the confidence to speak that voice or to make that decision to go into the uncertain. And it can be quite scary if you do that and then nothing externally visible happens to you in the first week, the first 2 weeks, the first month. Like, how many people start businesses and, oh no, it didn't take off until the 6th month, or didn't take off for the first 2 years? It's like, how long can you sit in the thing where you're working every single day and you have nothing really to show for it, and then suddenly everything happens? It's like you hearing that voice for the first time. I think one of the helpful things people can do is, if they decide that they are going to do something, step into the uncertain, it doesn't matter what it is, but just make a list of like the things you're going to give yourself validation for. For example, if it's business, because that's one that I can easily do, it would be like, not how many views each post gets, but it's, did you upload or did you not upload? Things that aren't tied to external things, they're things that you can control. Because then the goal, like, I recently hit 2,000 uploads on my YouTube channel, and that is the stat I'm most proud of out of all the numbers, out of everything. More than the money, more than the views, more than the subs. I care about like 2,000 uploads to get here. Like, what's going to happen by 4,000? Like, that's way more exciting to me than...
So it shows the autonomy that you have. So when it comes to personal development, it's not, did you get validated because you done your daily meditation or your daily affirmations or your daily meditation or journaling? It's, did you do your daily jobs? Did you get up? Did you make your bed? Did you do something that allows you to feel joy? You know, so it's finding those moments where you can self-validate, and also arguably to an extent put parameters on achieving them as well. You know, like you said there, it was very clear barrier to entry that you've got a goal and you succeeded because you turned up every day and did the work. So when it comes to self-development, there is an element of holistic approach, but there has to be somewhat of an element of direct approachness as well, which is what's measurable, what's achievable on the day-to-day. So do you think the outgrowing stage is just admitting that some people can't go where you're going?
Yeah. And that's okay.
Which is scary, because then, like we've said throughout this episode, you've got to then have the self-belief to step into that area by yourself.
Yep.
You got to have the self-support, the self-belief that you're going to be okay. And again, you're not going to have external validation. So maybe that emptiness, that gap you're feeling is just you learning to speak up a little bit more for yourself. And as time goes on, you're going to be able to step up a little bit louder, speak a little bit clearer, enunciate a little bit better, till eventually that loneliness shifts to a little bit more self-belief. And then you'll start to find your tribe as life goes on. So I suppose we've got to learn to sit in the void without filling it with noise or old instincts. So how can we turn disconnection into deeper connections? Yeah. How can we turn disconnection into deeper connections? So we've got to move from low quality connections to high quality connections. Likely that's going to come from shared values and shared belief systems. And people that are also aligned with self-development and bettering their future self. You know, a mindset that I've often tried to embody, which is do something today your future self will thank you for.
Yeah, that's really good.
Which is often why I've stayed consistent in the gym, is because, well, Connor right now might not want to go to the gym for an hour. And it's crazy, it is literally just an hour every day. But future Connor is going to thank me for it. So how can we align with sort of better developments, better values? I suppose it's increased, you've got to have an increased intimacy. So a stronger bond with yourself will allow for genuine, deep and more vulnerable connections in the long run.
I think it's just reaching out to people in your life.
What do you mean by that?
Like, if you have a problem, big or small, just put it in a group chat, like message it to a friend, like just say, hey, look, hey, how are you? I've been having this problem today. Do you have any thoughts on this?
So it's accepting and understanding that there's going to be a little bit of vulnerability, and arguably allowing people the same way you've allowed yourself to step into that space, allow other people to try and step into that space as well. You might in turn also be helping them on their self-development journey, because maybe they need to build a little bit more empathy, a little bit more understanding. So it's also going to allow people to meet you maybe on a deeper level automatically.
Yeah.
I suppose by living an authentic life and sticking to your new values, you're likely going to attract a new community of like-minded individuals anyway. Because if your new values are, I'm going to take care of myself, I'm going to eat well, start doing positive things, you might find that you join a run club and suddenly you're surrounded by 20 odd people that also are on that same sort of journey. So you might almost have this magnetic alignment with people. But it's navigating that transitional phase, isn't it? That understanding you're stuck in that sort of lonely chapter. But the transition out of it is self-love, self-acceptance, seeking a new tribe, being selective with your energy, not giving all your energy to people you know that are going to sap that, and not being afraid to, put barriers up for people.
Yeah. You got to protect yourself, because fundamentally, if you're off kilter, you can't help anyone else. And if we're talking about needing to build better relationships with the people around you and, making progress on your self-development journey, how can you do that if you're not prioritizing yourself?
Yeah. Your priorities have to always be a significant part of your life.
Yep. Just decide who you want to be. Be that person.
You could say that in the pursuit of trying to be that person, you arguably just become that person anyway.
Yeah, literally.
If you want to be someone that can speak multiple languages, by trying to learn another language, you ultimately you just become that person anyway.
Yep.
And you assign with the values that come with that sort of person, which is hardworking, disciplined, motivated. Yeah, I like it. Okay, so we talk about growth making us feel alone because we lose our old circles. But is that loneliness actually a form of forced rest that our nervous system needs because we've been running too fast for too long? So purely speaking about the nervous system now, is that loneliness a form of forced rest after we clear out the old clutter, move on from old circles, and that forced rest is our nervous system requiring that because we've been running too fast for too long?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, you turn on the afterburners at some point. You've got to. But I don't know if I'm probably the best person to speak in this situation, because I run myself until I burn out.
Yeah, I suppose. So, you can have $1 million vision, but if you have $100 nervous system, you're going to blow a fuse. So your ambition is the accelerator. Your long-term goals, your self-development goals, your business goals, that's the accelerator. But your body, your nervous system, that's the engine. That's what's going to get you there.
Yeah.
So your nervous system sets the pace, not your ambition. That's what we're going to be talking about here, which is your nervous system setting the pace, not your ambition. So do you ever feel like you're screaming at yourself, just do it, but your body is glued to the sofa?
That is every second of every day.
That was a good question for you then. Let's go. Get into it.
It's horrible because I can't sit down. I can't do nothing. Because in the back of my head, it's like, well, somebody else is working harder than you right now. I was like, but I've worked for 18 hours. I must rest. And then your body's like, no rest. You must continue to work. And then I go and do some more work. And then it's worse than that. It's not just do it. It's somebody else is working harder than you now. You're not working that hard. You're only doing one video. Somebody else has already made 4 today. What are you doing? What about the different time zones? They're waking up. They're going at it.
Do you think in that craziness in that thought path, then you're actually allowing yourself the deep rest that your body needs.
No, this is why I burn out.
Mm.
But I have no alternative.
So what does burnout feel like for you? Because I wonder if there's other people that can associate with your description of burnout.
6 to 18 hours of lying down in bed watching telly and scrolling social media.
Do you have any motivation to do anything at that point?
Nope.
Do you want to eat food at that point?
Nope.
Do you want to get out of bed and see sunlight?
Nope.
Do you want to interact with other humans?
Nope.
So burnout.
Oh, maybe I do. Maybe I do like to interact with people, because I can find that as soon as I interact with like my grandparents, for example, go out for a coffee, that usually resets me and I come home and I work.
So human interaction
Is a good
fix for burnout.
With people you don't feel like you have to impress. With people who accept you.
Why do you think that is important?
Because it doesn't zap your social battery. If you feel like you've got to put on a facade or talk a certain way or act a certain way or do certain things, then you're not deeply relaxing and you're not just enjoying it for what it is. If you've got family access, like,
so you need to be present, is what you're suggesting.
I suppose I am.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, you've had an impact on me, haven't you?
Well, no, this is what you've said. You've just never put a label on it and realised what you're actually doing is actually extremely holistic and a bit hippie. It's just you don't like to admit it.
No, I'm such a hippie. I own a whole poncho.
I don't even own a poncho.
Yeah, I'm on it. I don't own the sandals, but you can probably make up that gap.
I own Birkenstocks. Yeah, I love my Birks. They're the best things in the world. That's what I'm going to be wearing for the next 6 months when I'm in Asia. Can't wait. Yeah, so what we're suggesting here is the nervous system sets the pace. So you can only run as fast as your nervous system allows. And if you're running on a fried nervous system, a dysregulated nervous system, you're not going to be able to take that body of work, that self-development very far. And it's likely going to put you in a state of freeze or a state of like burnout, exhaustion, fatigue. But I suppose the issue is we often label, like you've done, that freeze, that burnout as laziness, which is in turn damaging. We've spoken about already judging, like meta emotions, judging the emotion you're feeling. So if you're feeling, sad, but then you start feeling bad about feeling sad, that's just going to amplify the issue.
Then you feel anxiety about the fact you're feeling bad about the fact that you're feeling sad.
So it's very similar in regards to freeze states being labeled as laziness. It's like a big lie, because really that functional freeze occurs when the nervous system perceives a threat or excessive stress. So instead of mobilizing the body into like fight or flight, the body's going to shut down and conserve energy or hide from the danger or the stress that it's receiving. So it's going to result into similar things you've said, which is brain fog, physical heaviness, and inability or lack of desire to move. When in really, defining laziness as a lack of willpower or interest, modern psychology suggests what looks like laziness is often burnout.
Yep. And the thing is, there's no place for burnout in the working world, where you have a boss, for example, who's like, no, you need to turn up 9 o'clock and you're not allowed to leave until 5:30. I'll give you a half an hour lunch. Like, if you're burnt out, that company actively loses money by having you on the premises, because you're going to make mistakes. So 2 people are going to have to do the one person's job. Like, it's so difficult to justify and acknowledge the importance of. Yeah, it's a very interesting one. I don't really know what the solution is.
Well, I think we'll probably get that, but maybe not get there, but we'll discuss maybe coping mechanisms and tools for it. But a dysregulated nervous system is maybe not very common, but it's damaging, and maybe it's something people need to be aware of, whether it's actually happening to them, because there's a lot of signs, emotional, psychological, physical, cognitive, behavioral signs that can help sort of point out towards a dysregulated nervous system. So an emotional one would be like anxiety or fear, mood swings, or complete shutdown, withdrawal, feeling disconnected. Physical signs can be like sleep issues, digestive problems, fatigue. One that I think is really cool is sensory sensitivity as well. So heightened reaction to like sound, light, which is mental. Cognitive signs, so difficulty concentrating, mental fatigue, cognitive overload, which I think are the ones we can easily tangibly put names on. When someone feels dysregulated, it's easy to put it into your brain and go, I just can't concentrate at the moment. But all these other ones, behavioral impulsivity, withdrawal, these are just subtle signs that the body's going to be dysregulated. Is there any there that you notice in yourself? You don't have to share, but for me, when I know my nervous system is dysregulated, it's mood swings and shutdown. When I'm at a total place of dysregulation, my body will just shut me down. Any there that you were attached to?
The lack of concentration. I know you said a few others, but I wasn't concentrating.
No, you're good. So without the self-regulation, your motivation's just going to turn into self-pressure.
Yeah, for sure. And like the mood swings as well is like one for me. Like I was so snappy at Sophie yesterday. I don't know how she didn't punch me. Like I'm just stressed. I've got so much to do. I'm stressed. I'm in a heightened state of like living, and therefore mood swings are more. I can't concentrate because I'm thinking about 4,000 things rather than just the one thing I'm doing. Like what were some of the other ones on there? There was quite a few. Hypersensitivity to like sounds and whatever. Yeah, it just drives me insane. Just, again, winds me up, puts me in a different mood.
So I suppose for you, it's the irritability, dysregulation for you maybe comes at a cost of your productivity.
Yeah, 1,000%, which is the worst.
But then I think you just amplify it because you're feeling dysregulated. You don't take the 5 minutes that you might need in that moment. You try and push through, which, don't get me wrong, there are times to put your head down and work. Absolutely. There's times where you have to, I think I said this in the last episode, there's times sometimes where you have to just put what you're dealing with to the side ever so slightly. But there's other times where you have simply 5 minutes. You can just do some breathing and you're fine. I want to share a personal story on this. I know we try and sometimes avoid complete personal sharing, but I took medication for anxiety for years, and I was on beta blockers to help my breathing. So for those that didn't know, I was suffering with anxiety, and I thought it was something I was feeling when in reality it was a dysregulated nervous system. The reason I knew that, I was on beta blockers to help my breathing. I always felt like I was starved for oxygen, is the term. And it was only when I was in Costa Rica with my now ex that I was shirtless. She asked me to sit down and I was breathing and she went, "Why are you breathing into your chest?" I went, "What do you mean?" She went, "Why are you breathing into your chest?" It was a simple question. I went, "That's how you breathe, isn't it?" She went, "No, it's not." I went, "Oh, what?" So after a long discussion, we found out I was breathing into my chest rather than into my diaphragm. And breathing into your chest raises your sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight or flight. Through learning to breathe into my diaphragm, which activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and relaxation, your rest and digest system, I came off the meds in Costa Rica. How ridiculous is that? In the span of 3 days, I learned to breathe properly and came off medication that I'd been on for years because I learned how to regulate my nervous system. I know it sounds so dumb.
It's cool. It just shows that medicine isn't the answer to everything.
It does, and it shows the power we have over our bodies just by understanding. So taking those 5 minutes just to breathe into your diaphragm, get a good solid bit of breath in there, it can save your life. So I've got a question. If your body is sabotaging your success, is it possible it's actually trying to save your life? What I mean by that is, what if your body What is your body afraid will happen if you actually reach the goal you're chasing?
I think it's probably trying to save my life, as in give me a longer life expectancy. I don't think it's trying to save my life in terms of everything that I think I need in the modern world. Like things that I need, like whether my body likes it or not, I need to earn enough to buy a house. I need to earn enough to make sure my girlfriend doesn't have to work when we have kids. I need to earn enough to where I can replace her car as and when it breaks, because it always breaks.
So it's the differentiation between the animal side and the tangible, rational human side, which is the human needs to achieve this, but the body needs this.
Yeah. Like if I was just to go or take one step further, if I can stress myself to the point where I can buy a ranch, then I can just live like a hunter-gatherer, and then my nervous system will be a lot more relaxed.
I disagree. I think you'd find a new way to dysregulate your nervous system, a new thing to stress over.
Well, I'd have to go hunting bison. That would be quite stressful.
Well, yeah, this is it. I think you'd just find new ways to feel overwhelmed. I think the body gets used to a certain state, and if your body is used to that hypersensitivity, the slight dysregulation, it's going to struggle. So high-level success feels like danger to a system that grew up in instability, and maybe for someone that grew up in stability, safety feels a little bit dangerous as well. So you have to be constantly working towards more and better and new things. It's a real difficult one because the nervous system is something we have some sort of control over. But when it sets the pace, not your ambition, it's difficult. And it can feel like a limiting factor for people. But you've got to work in tandem with your body and your mind and your soul and your spiritual body rather than at odds with it. Because the body can, collapse under its own intensity. And growth will ignore that.
Yeah. It's the importance of investing wisely so you can take some time off. So that when your job is outcome-based, you don't need to always be creating the thing that will lead to the outcome.
So I suppose, how do we step towards growth? What are possible solutions? And this is going to be, really difficult. I suppose a question you could ask yourself is, does this goal make me feel expansive or constricted?
That's good. I do have an additional
Please do,
thing
jump in.
to that. Is when I get burnt out, it's usually because I'm stressed. I'm usually stressed because I'm trying to think about the 4,000 things. If you can box those 4,000 things into like 3 different categories, you can trick your brain into thinking, I've only got 3 things to think about. So it reduces your stress. And is that compartmentalizing again that I'm promoting? But
Who knows?
I'm just fundamentally not developed. But yeah, like if I can put all Will Taylor stuff goes in this box of stress, all Beneath the Noise stuff goes in this box of stress, all home life goes into this box of stress, all future goals goes into this box. And then I can just decide, okay, right now I'm going to tap into the will line. I can just think about any problems to do with will, rather than having to deal with all of them at the same time. And then,
Well, there's different ways to handle stress, which is really what you're suggesting, which would help regulate your nervous system, which is true. Managing your stress is super important. So to jump on the back of like prioritizing workload, a lot of people do the how to prioritize. It's the urgent, not important, not important dialogue, which is if something's urgent and important, do it first, get it done. If something's important but not urgent, schedule it, make sure you've got the time for it. If something is urgent but not important, delegate it, get someone else to do that. And if it's not urgent and not important, don't do it, push it to the side. But I think what I like when it comes to, you're trying to manage stress and you've got all these 4,000 things you suggested, is when you try and look at 4,000 things, you are going to feel overwhelmed. It's going to feel too much. So you've got to just pick things that you can do easily and quickly. Pick the easy wins in my mind. I've always liked this analogy of you can't hold like 100 kg in your hands. But you can take one thing at a time and you can pick that up. Okay, I can do that. And you can pick another thing up. Okay, I can do that. And you build the strength, you build the rigidity. But really how to sort of manage your nervous system is you've got to manage your stress. So that's a combination of physical habits, mental techniques, social support, while also addressing the root cause, which I know sounds extremely overwhelming and completely time consuming. I think it was Andrew Huberman that joked, being a perfectly well-rounded human is really easy. If you eat 3 healthy meals a day and you exercise twice a day with 3 long runs a week, and then, you have good social time with friends, you have a job that fulfills you, and just goes on and on. It's like, well, yeah, it sounds easy on paper. But when you break it down, regular exercise is going to help, eating well, regular sleep. Practice relaxation, mindfulness, grounding, engage in hobbies. It's going to be a mental and emotional boost for you. And when it comes to social, like you've said, connect with people that fill your cup, not people that drain it. Managing stress is, likely where you got to start. It's a tough thing. And I suppose the vision for you when it comes to personal development, growth, whatever it might be, is you want to move towards sustainable high performance, where you stop redlining and start moving at a pace that allows you to actually enjoy the success when it arrives.
Yeah, need to learn that one.
How do you think you could implement that in your life? And not if I knew I would do it, but a legitimate, how can I implement sustainable high performance that's easy and consistent and allows you to enjoy the success when it arrives? I'll give you some suggestions that I think I've noticed in you.
Yeah, please.
I think regular breaks with your partner make the world of difference. When I've seen you when you've come back from Wales, Prague, and it'll be interesting to see how you are when you come back from Cornwall, you come with a little bit more freedom, a little bit more air inside you, a little bit more spring in your step because you feel rejuvenated. I think 1, it's because of where you've gone. 2, it's stepping away ever so slightly from the work. And 3, I think it's with someone that you love and you care for.
Yeah, I agree. There's just stuff that needs to be done.
But I think there's always going to be things that need to be done.
Yeah.
Always. There's always something that needs to be done.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I noticed it myself. But Soph doesn't get every weekend off, so we can't go for a weekend away every weekend, unfortunately.
It doesn't need to be every weekend. It can be, I think Jay Shetty, famous podcaster, suggests to do it once every 6 weeks, once a month. You just go away, no phones, no connection, just with you and someone that's deeply important to you.
Yeah, no, I think it's worth trying. Worst case, I have a holiday. Best case, I have a holiday. And I'm not stressed.
I can hear the sarcasm in your voice.
No, it's not.
Yes, Connor, fine, I'll stop working. Yes, I'll just say this to pacify him, and then when he goes, I'm going to work harder.
No, that's the most stressful thing about holidays, is getting the work done ahead of time so I can.
I suppose that's the downsides that come with self-employment, is no one pays you when you take your time off.
Yeah, for me to go away, it actively means losing money. As well as the cost of the holiday. What about you? How can you reduce your stress?
I think for me, it's having less on my plate. So as you know, I like to keep myself extremely busy. And the more busy I keep myself, the more stressed I feel. So it's prioritizing what's important and not overloading on that either. Having the healthy balance between time for myself, time for friends and family, and time for what's important. Having a healthy balance rather than being all in all the time is likely where I can find that sustainable high performance. Because I agree, I need time away from the project to be better at the project. And it's like the analogy I've always said, if you go to the gym 7 times a week, you're likely making worse progress than someone that goes 4 or 5. Because that break allows you to grow and repair.
Think how much progress I'm making. I go once a month. So much progress.
You tell yourself whatever you want, man. You tell yourself whatever you want. Yeah, okay. So if our nervous system sets the pace, which is what we've been discussing, does that amplify the ceiling we keep hitting? Sorry, does that imply that the ceiling we keep hitting isn't a lack of talent, but a lack of readiness?
Say that again.
So if our nervous system sets the pace, does that imply the ceiling that we keep hitting isn't a lack of talent, but a lack of readiness?
Yeah, could do. I think
Okay.
it's where you've jump-started your body into something it wasn't ready for.
So can we want something? Can we actually want ourselves into a state of burnout by ignoring our biological capacity?
Probably.
What impact do you think that has on people? Trying to jumpstart, as you said, the readiness. Trying to propel yourself forwards when your body's not ready for it.
Your YouTube revenue goes down 78% in a month. It would be my guess.
I mean, that's true for you, absolutely.
I think extrapolating that out so other people find it useful is like your productivity, your openness to helping other people, across all areas of life, you can decline by 78%. And it's where you've tried to not only act like what you think the future version of yourself would want you to act like in terms of how much you're getting done or how much you're helping other people. It's you living in the future and therefore having the stress of everything in the future without having the skills or practice to actually be ready to deal with that yet.
So you're trying to run before you can walk. Or an analogy I've got here, you can't build a skyscraper on a foundation for a shed.
True.
Yeah. So really the core message for growth is that it's not an act of will, it's an act of integration. And if you're trying to jumpstart that integration or think you're level 5 when you're really level 2 because you want the process to be done, you want it to be over, you want to be somewhere new, you want to be somewhere exciting, you're likely going to feel more stuck than if you accepted and integrated where you are and continue to build on that and build that strong foundation, because without that strong foundation, you're just going to crumble. Again, you can't build a skyscraper on a foundation built for a shed.
It's a great saying.
So I suppose what we've touched on in this episode is like the lonely middle, which is similar to what Chris Williamson said. So it's not a sign you're failing. It's time that's required for a new identity to stabilize before it attracts new connections.
It's a consolidation phase, as you would say in stock market investing, day trading.
What would you say to someone that is finding themselves in that lonely middle, in that consolidation stage?
Just keep going. Like, you're doing everything right. You wouldn't have got to that unless you were making progress. Just keep making progress, keep working at identify, because you can get there after achieving stuff and not know what the next goal is. So solidify your goals and keep working towards them. They don't have to be business goals. In fact, I almost recommend it's more important you find friends at that stage. So it's almost like, have your business goals, they're fine, but in terms of priorities at this stage, you need to also have an active social life to rejuvenate you. That's not sapping you, but actually refilling you.
Allow you to integrate where you are, fill up your cup with where you are, while moving towards the new and the better. I suppose my message for people in the lonely middle is understand that it's okay to be in that stage, and the growth is uncomfortable, and lonely as we're suggesting, but not to fall into old habits, because the old habits are going to keep you stuck, and not only could keep you in that middle for longer, it could actually pull you back into regression. So try and avoid those old habits, the things that you thought kept you safe in that self-development stage. They don't serve you anymore, and understand why they don't serve you. And what can you do to come forwards on the other side? What would someone that you want to be do in this life? What traits would they embody? What values do they have? What hobbies do you have that you can go out and do and keep yourself occupied? We've also touched on ambition and the nervous system. So the ambition is the engine, as we suggested. It's the fire, it's the flame. But the nervous system is the chassis, it's the support, it's the driving vehicle. If the engine is too big for the frame, the system breaks. Which I know is probably quite difficult for people because they feel like if my engine is what's firing me, that should be enough. That should be the thing that keeps me going. What would you say to those? And this is probably a little bit of thing for yourself as well. What would you say to those that maybe the engine is too big for the frame? Their ambition is slightly too big or outrunning their nervous system? Because I think big ambition is great. But if you're outrunning your nervous system, that's the issue.
Yeah. I think it's just remembering that Rome wasn't built in a day. Like, things take time to build, and having a nice foundation for everything going forwards is like, that's far more important than you think. The problem is you need more when you start than when you're closer to the finish. It's like you need more money because you might have quit your job for a certain thing, or you need more friendship because you've just lost all your friends, or you need more at the start because you need more affirmations that what you're doing is correct. And the reality is, like, the fact you made the decision to start is the correct decision. So just keep building block by block.
I like that. Yeah. Mine's similar, which is understanding ambition is not necessarily the problem. It's the poor self-management of the nervous system, which would be, like, have all the ambitions in the world, strive and work towards great things. Don't limit yourself. You are only limited by your own imagination and your nervous system. So find ways to regulate, to down-regulate your nervous system, whether that's breathing, meditation, going for a run, going to the gym, whatever it might be. Find your ways that help you feel more grounded. Yeah, man. It's been a deep, insightful episode. It's definitely questioned both of us in terms of what we think is important. So we started with growth can make you feel more alone before you feel more connected. And your nervous system sets the pace, not your ambition. It's two sobering realities, and I think at times it can feel extremely isolating, as we've touched on throughout this personal development. But I think what's really important for people to remember, if they've made it this far, there are other people going through this, and you can likely find your tribe as you're going through this personal development, business creation, whatever it might be, spiritual journey. There's likely people on that journey with you. So reach out, find your tribe, put in the comments below what you're going through, and see if someone else can empathize with you and help support you through it. That'd be a really cool idea, is like building a community in that regard.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. It's been a good episode. If you could say a key takeaway, man, if you had one?
Probably what I just said, to be fair, which is whatever you're doing in life, build it block by block. Don't build it wall by wall or floor by floor. Do things in the correct order, and don't be the type of person to cut corners. It's okay if it takes you a little bit longer to make sure it's done right.
I like that. I think mine's similar, which is build your strong foundation first. Don't rush that. Yeah, very similar to yours. Build your strong foundation, and ultimately understand that you might go through this lonely stage, but there's people in life on the other side, and you're going to be better off for it.
Yep.
I've written down my word, Will.
I think you'll probably get it today.
I don't think I will.
Cataclysmic. Did I do it? Did we get it?
No.
Oh, was I close?
Kiwi.
Oh, yeah, I was very close. Hey, that's a callback or a throwback to... We used to talk about kiwis.
We did fruits.
Yeah.
I don't know if we ever did a kiwi.
Maybe not.